What's going on, you guys? It is the Talking Sasquatch, and it's great to have you back. Now, over the past few videos, I've been trying to showcase as many of the 3D printing projects that I've been doing for DEF CON, because I started printing some stuff that I honestly didn't think was possible. Some of those things include this case for a Nyan box, which is actually a project by JBoHack and ZR Kraken, and I mean, the amazing quality on this, I literally didn't think was possible. I also made coins for both Kittens and Pink Fox, and honestly, these came out so good, I had no clue I could print this high detail. It was also crazy because I had never really made anything exactly like that before, and I didn't even know how to do these high detail multicolor things, but it turns out if you poke stuff with a stick long enough, sometimes you can just make it work. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you every single one of the tips that I've picked up along the way. These include things like custom fonts, print color order, all sorts of great stuff, and how to print in super high detail on the first layer, which again, I thought was impossible. So yeah, people keep asking me all of my tips and tricks for 3D printing, and this is the video for you. All right, let's get at it. Alright, so first things first, it's kind of an obvious thing, but make sure you're using really good quality filaments. Now, when you're printing like single color, big objects and things like that, you can get away with using like a $10 roll of PETG or PLA, that's perfectly fine. But when it comes down to printing on something like a 3D effects sheet, or if you're doing a really high detailed first layer, you need a fantastic first layer filament. Because I'm going to show you a little bit later on, I'm kind of building the print off of itself. So that first color that goes down builds the entire print, and it's incredibly important. So for me, I've kind of got a list of what I kind of consider a cheater filament. A filament that can do no wrong, it prints perfectly every single time. Like for me, one of the things I recommend is that the Bamboo Galaxy filament. This prints amazing every single time. It can do no wrong. It's literally foolproof. So anything I've ever printed in Bamboo Galaxy is perfect. So I also found out that Bamboo's Sparkle Black PLA, believe it or not, it's kind of a weird filament, but that has amazing first layer adhesion and zero stringing, which is extremely important. If you have any stringing on a filament, it will ruin your first layer. Garbage. Secondly, I've been printing a ton with transparent PLA because I love transparent PLA, what can I say? Now, last year I used Hatchbox transparent PLA, which I absolutely love. That stuff is great, except if that gets any hydration whatsoever, if it has any humidity, it turns into spaghetti and it snaps immediately. All right, so this is Hatchbox Transparent Blue PLA, which is really nice. It's what I printed these coins on, but watch. If I take this and even like unbend this, it literally just explodes. Like, that didn't just break in one piece, it's broken into like 3 pieces. And it will do this inside your AMS. Ask me how I know that. I've literally rebuilt that AMS like, well, I was going to say 5 times, probably like 20 times. One time was so bad, I think it broke into like 7 or 8 pieces into every single part of the print system that had a sensor. So it was like, this part's blocked, this part's blocked. I had to take the whole damn printer apart. It was horrible. But now, introducing Bamboo Lab, I use a lot of Bamboo filament. I love their filament. It's so easy. I know how much is on the spool. It automatically recognizes in the AMS. It's just great. Plus, look at this stuff. Transparent purple. It's absolutely gorgeous. And this is just fine. It doesn't care. I mean, this is even part of it that you can't see, but there's ridges on it because it's already been through the AMS. This doesn't break. So from a 3D printing standpoint, using transparent filament, this was a game changer for you because I'm no longer afraid of printing with it. Also, you may notice over there is a filament dryer. That's a Sunlu filament dryer. I think it was like 40 bucks. It wasn't too bad, but if you're printing with transparent, you really want to use that because it makes it more transparent. That's the whole point. Plus, it makes almost every filament, especially PLA, print better that I've seen. Also, in kind of a complete 360 of my stance before, I used to hate the cold plate. I still do hate the cold plate. The original cool plate was stupid in my opinion because you had to use glue, but full 180, This is the super tack sheet. This, you need this. You absolutely need this. This has fantastic adhesion. This is the no-brainer of no-brainer sheets. If you ask it to print on this, you set it up right, it will print on this, it will be perfect. And if it doesn't print perfect, it's probably because you're a dirty little boy and you haven't cleaned this thing in forever. So even if this thing's dirty, it normally prints fine, but if you have any adhesion issues, the trick to it, it's super simple. Dawn dish soap and water. That's all you do. Clean this like a plate, you know, dry it off real well with something that has no lint, and it will print perfectly. Again, Couldn't recommend it more. Now, speaking of build plates, I do love to print on what I call effect sheets. It's the 3D holographic sheets, whatever. But I know Bamboo makes some, and there's a bunch of other ones that are magnets and stickers and stuff. But honestly, my favorite ones, I actually got off of AliExpress. Now, the reason for this is because they come pre-applied and they are smooth, smooth, smooth. You can see if I get the reflection on there, this is completely flat. It's basically like a glass sheet. And in my opinion, it has the absolute best look to it. And this actually has great adhesion if you're nice to it. Now, what I actually do on these sheets is I use isopropyl alcohol swabs, and then every single run, because I was printing, I think, 25 coins at a time on these. And if anything goes wrong, you know, cascading failure. So yeah, I used isopropyl alcohol, cleaned it off real well every single time, and I printed 800 coins or something at this point on this sheet right here. And that was just this year. I printed all my coins on it last year too, and it still has the great holographic effect on there. You can't see, it doesn't translate well. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, that's the one. So yeah, great thing, AliExpress. Now I do want to point out that I bought like a ton of 3D effect sheets from AliExpress, and some of them are absolute dog water. You get terrible adhesion, so it's kind of up to the luck of the draw, but if you find one that works, it works well. Alright, so I feel like now it's time to hop on down to the desktop and show you some other stuff you might not know about. But not before this segue to today's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay is your one-stop shop for PCB design, manufacturing, 3D printing, CNC, sheet metal fabrication, and more. No matter what the project is, PCBWay's got engineers on staff willing to help you every single step of the way, and it couldn't be easier. So head on down to PCBWay.com for a free instant quote. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for the continued support. Let's get back at it. All right, so let's hop on down to the desktop and check this out. So the first thing I want to show you is actually something really, really simple, but it took me forever to figure this out, and it seems like not a lot of people know this. So I've got right here is Dare.ttf, so it's a TrueType font, and what we're going to do is we're going to install it so that Bamboo can use it, because if you don't install it this way, it won't see it. So simply right-click, and then we're going to go to install for all users. That's the secret sauce. If you install it for all users, it'll show up in Bamboo Studio and you can use it, so you're not just stuck with their boring font. So that is a great pro tip that it took me forever to figure out, because I was like, you have to be able to install fonts on your own, and that's how you do it. All right, so from here, I think I'll show you how to make the challenge coin. They're maker coins. Alright, so from here I think I'll show you how to make the maker coins that I was doing, because it's not super hard, but there's a ton of tricks to it. So if we hop on over to Bamboo Studio, this is actually a template I think I saw from Voidstar Labs, and this is the K2 maker chip sample. So I'll have a link down below, and they just have a bunch of maker chips that are just ready to go. So if we slice the plate, they always look a little jagged and weird. That's just the way everything renders, but if we give it a second to actually slice this, there we go, we can have a little bit better idea of what these look like. So these are just a bunch of different designs, and I decided that this little one with little bubbles up there I like the most. So what I do, again, you can do this any way you want, but go through and just delete everything else. Super boring. There's that, there's that, there's that, and now I have my one coin right here. And then I'm just gonna go File, Save Project As, and I don't know, Demo. Cool. Boom. So now we have our demo chip. Step one, done. All right, so step two is you got to figure out an image for it. And that was actually really easy for Kittens, because Kittens had a whole bunch of really nice, where is this, emojis made up for, you know, Discord or whatever. So I like this one. This is one of the ones that she'd picked out. And I'm like, this is going to be impossible. There's no possible way I can print this on a coin, because it's way too detailed. But turns out you can, so it's crazy. And it's actually not as hard as you might think. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to load up Bamboo's Lightbox Maker, because that's a huge hack for this. All right, so we'll go ahead and close this, and then let's pull up our browser right here. You can see my work before, but we're going to recreate the wheel on this one. So we're just going to go to New Project. We're going to upload. Apparently I can drag and drop here. So where are those? Drag and drop, Kittens, bam. Cool. So we've got that, and I want it to be a circle because it's going to make life easier. And let's see. Again, it's not easy to get all this stuff to work exactly the way you want it to. And we're going to actually clip off one of the ears. Things like that really don't matter. They don't translate too badly, but this is going to work. So we're going to go there, confirm, and it's just going to slice this into a bunch of different stuff so we can actually put it in the slicer. So right now we have 15 colors. Well, it turns out I only have 8. That's another huge thing. I got 2 AMSs. The one on top of the LU printer is connected to the Bamboo because, you know, whatever. So we're going to cut this down to 8 colors. And actually, you look at it, it still looks pretty good. So what did we lose here? So we lost a nose. So we want to make our nose not get lost. 1098. So let's figure out what that color is, and we can just map that to something else. So now keep in mind, we'll be able to change all these colors with the slicer, so I'm not too concerned about it right now. But let's just, for the sake of argument, can we change this manually? Let's go to next. I think I can do it here. And then, yeah, because this color I want to change. Here we go. Let's just do that. There we go. So now we get a little bit of separation. And again, I don't have all these colors, but all we're doing right here is breaking it down. So that's perfectly fine for what we're doing. Confirm. Here we go. So now we have our image. That's exactly what we want. We're going to export that. And we don't need to dig holes because it's not going to be a real light box. We're really just using this to get the design. So continue to export. And I've got an X1C with a 0.4 nozzle. And confirm. Pairing for exports. And download. And we're just going to drop this back into... I'll just drop it on the desktop for now. Save. Perfect. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and just minimize that. And we're going to import that. So we're just going to plus here, and then desktop. Here's Lightbox Draft. It's probably going to get really mad at me, but that's okay. And it's also going to be huge enormous. Here we go. That looks pretty fun. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this object because I don't need that. And then we're also going to slice this way down because I don't need any of this stuff. So we're going to cut it, and cut is here. And then we're just going to move this all the way down until, there we go, cuts. Yeah, that'll work. And then I don't need object A. We'll get rid of that, perform cut, and that should be perfect. Do-do-do. There we are. So now, obviously, all of our colors are messed up, but we can actually just go ahead and change those colors manually. So
one eternity later.
All right, so one movie magic later, and I've got all the colors figured back out, and yeah, this is what it looks like. So all we have to do now is scale this down so it's coin size, right? So let's go ahead and grab this, and we're just going to click the scale button and bring this down into, whoop, it's so easy to mess up that stuff. Bring it down to coin size. So actually, let's move this over here, and let's see if we can get this onto the coins. So let's do that, check this assembly, and let's start scaling this down. And one of the things I always end up doing is working upside down. I do this all the time, so you can actually look through the build plate, which is kind of nice. So let's scale this down and get this to work in here. I always try to make sure that the rotation makes sense with the coins. So I'm actually going to rotate this just a little bit, just so it's, I don't know, what I want to call symmetrical. So, I don't know. That's kind of good. So that lines up. I don't know. Whatever. Fine. 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 Cool. So now that that's done, let's see what happens when we slice this, because this is kind of interesting. So go ahead and slice it. And you'll notice right there, no layers were detected because we created a problem right there that it took me a second to figure out. If we go back to prepare, the problem is that this assembly is now, if we go to size, scale, 0.06 millimeters. So we need to fix that. So turn off uniform scale. And this is important. I only want 2 layers of color for this. The reason being is that this is an 8 color print, which means there are a ton of filament changes. And if you make this like 4 layers thick, it's going to mean that many more filament changes. It's going to waste a ton. So you don't want to do that. So we're going to make this, since our layers are 0.2, we're going to make this 0.4. And confirm that. And then when we go look at the slicer, we can make sure that's correct. So right there, we're going to slice the plate, and let's see what it looks like. Cool, cool. There's the top, and here's the bottom. Now, if you notice, this looks bad. Like, I'm not really sure exactly what's happening here, but I know how to fix it. So what we're going to do now is actually go back to prepare, and it's because we need to merge these. So I'm not sure if I can merge 2 assemblies. Let's see if I can do that, or if I ever break them apart.
Nope.
So it won't let me merge both of them. So what we'll do is we'll split this into objects, and then we're going to split this into objects. Now we have a ton of objects. Absolutely awesome. And then we're just going to select all of those. Click one, scroll all the way to the top, hold shift, click the other one, merge. Now, with any luck, it should slice. So let's see. Hey, look at that. It's actually not bad. So we've got our whole thing on here sliced, looking great. Now, come to think of it, I actually kind of want to make this a little bit bigger. I want to bring this further down to the bottom, and this further up to the top. I'm just going to make it a little bit easier, because if you notice, this was the big deal breaker. If I couldn't get the teeth and the mouth, so if I couldn't get a black outline all the way around the mouth right there, which I'm not doing, I wasn't even going to try it. So more tricks for this. So fantastic. But let's scale that up just a teeny tiny bit. So we're going to grab all of these objects. We're going to scale those. Let's keep uniform scale, then we'll unscale it, right? Right. So we're going to do this. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Whoop, whoop. Don't do that. That's cool. And then I'm going to change that ununiform scale, change that back, and then change that to 4, enter, good. And then slice it again and see what it looks like. Awesome, awesome. I like this. I think this looks great. Now we want to fix this. So this is the secret sauce that made this work. So let's go back to prepare. And what we're going to do is go to global. And we're going to move all the way down to our wall generator. So this is the key to everything. All right, so the secret sauce on this one, and I went through every single thing in the slicer and just started messing with stuff, seeing if it would make it better or worse. This is the best way to do this. So first of all, we're going to change our wall generator to Arachne. Is that ARAC? Yeah, I think it's Arachne. I'm bad at spelling, whatever. So we're going to go 10 here, 25 here, 100 there. That doesn't matter. Wall distribution is still at 1. This is the trick, right? Set the minimum wall width to 100 and the minimum feature size to 10. So it's basically forcing these really small, minute details to be larger and printable. So when we do that and slice it, we have her mouth. That is awesome. Once I saw that, I'm like, cool, we're doing this. We're doing this. Let's go. So that was super, super important. As soon as I figured that I could actually do this, I was like, you know what? I think I can force the printer to do this if I'm really nice to it. Next step, we're going to go to prepare. Because remember what I was saying before about the filaments, right? I have certain filaments that are like cheater filaments that print really, really good on the first layer and they stick really, really good. So on this one, I wanted to build off of the black. Because the black, everything attaches to the black. So what I'm doing is we're going to change the filament print order, but in a very specific and very well thought out way. So I want to start with the black because, again, I know that the black's going to work perfectly and stick. I'm also going to start building off of the black. So we're going to print in print order, basically opposite from black, because we're going to work our way out. So we're going to start with black. We're going to do the beige. And then we're going to do like the hair colors. So we can do blue, any of those. And then go work our way out. Also, this is glow in the dark right here, so it's really cool. I just wanted to mention this. All these coins are glow in the dark. Super cool. So what we've done is we set our print order here, which is, if you're looking at the build plate, that little gear right there, and there we have our customized print order. So we're going to actually start with the black, and then we set our beige, and then we can print our colors, which are good there, and then the white. Actually, I'm going to do last, blue, and then I always like to make the last color the like kind of infill or whatever that, because once it prints the last layer, it's going to print another layer of that on top of it for the second layer. It just makes it faster in my opinion. So basically that's the trick. So your first color you're printing is going to be with the best filament you have for adhesion, and then you're just working your way out. So every other layer is actually touching that color, which makes it stick even better. So secret sauce there. Fantastic. So once we learn how to do that, I kind of figured out that you can print anything if you scale it right and if you think about it right. So of course, the next step is to go ahead and cheat. I just used ChatGPT. I'm like, make a theoretical image. Sometimes if it gets mad at you and you won't print something because whatever reason, say make a theoretical image and it'll let you do it. So just a heads up there. Make a theoretical image of a hacker version of Nyan Cat. I wanted a transparent background and have bright fun colors. So that's exactly what it did. And that made that. So, I mean, I had to spend no time fixing this for the Nyan box, which was really cool. I did pull the rainbow off because I didn't have enough colors. Believe it or not, 8 colors is not as much as it sounds like, and you run out of colors all the time. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is kind of a little trick I picked up along the way, which was actually making the really good logos and stuff like that that you can see. So right here, I got ChatGPT to generate this text because I wanted kittens to be kind of like that metal font. It's almost hard to read, but you know, if you're cool, you can read it. So the trick that I do is a double outline. So we've got, this is the original text, and then I made a larger version of the text. And then I made a yet larger version of the text and just saved all those. And what that ends up doing is it gives me 3 different layers that I can use. One of the things you can't do in Bamboo Studio is enlarge a font in that way so you can make outlines. And I love making outlines. It's one of those things I learned when I was making animations for the Flipper Zero, is that if you do a double outline, you get really, really good contrast. So that's what I did. And this is what it looks like once we bring it into the slicer. All right, so here we are back in the slicer, and I brought in all 3 of those layers, and I've got them nice and kitted out. But we'll notice if we slice this, it's going to give us the same issue before, because now this is a different object. And if you have an assembly in a different object, it gets real mad. So this is just no good. It's not happy. So we're going to have to combine all these. There is a catch though. So watch what happens. I'm going to go back into prepare, and we're going to break our assembly. So objects, and then here's the assembly, and then we're going to disassemble. So I'm going to go ahead and split. to objects. We're going to add the kittens to it. So we've got our font here, so we can still see our logos down there. And then we've got this. So let's find those layers. Here we go. And then we're going to move these over to here. So that looks like that fits just fine. And then we're going to go ahead and assemble everything. Now we've created another problem. So this is kind of fun. So we'll notice, here we go. We'll notice it's all on the bottom. It's all sitting right there. They're all on top of each other. So now we have to do something that's actually kind of, I don't want to say sketchy, but it's a little different. So I used to do this all the time before I knew how to do fonts and stuff correctly and how to do logos. What we're going to do is we're going to manually move it. So we're going to go north, keep moving up. It's hard to see because we're working in a really weird perspective, but we do it just right. And it looks like I got to move this down a little bit here. It's hard to click on the arrow sometimes. And then move this over here. And let's see what this looks like when we slice it. If we get lucky, it'll be flat with the top layer. If we didn't get lucky, it's going to be its own top layer, which sucks. Or we missed it entirely and it's just not there. So alright, so after failing at this for what seems like way too long, because I forget the little tips, this is a huge tip for you. And it's actually layer ordering really matters. Because right now this will not print, and it's just because of the layer ordering, and let me show you why. So the way this works is if these layers are on top of our main chip, it's basically overwriting that. So for one reason or another, it screws things up that way. Let me show you. So if I move this up to here, and I move this up to here, and then I slice it, watch now. It's gonna work. So it's really interesting how it works with layers. Also, notice I screwed up too and I put things out of order. So now it actually slices things and we're good. But again, I screwed the order up. So the order is really important. So we want to make sure objects, go back to prepare. So we need this to go here. And then we basically just need to go backwards on this, I believe. And then I think this will work. So let's go. Slice plates. I got 2 of them, right? All right, so just kind of move the black layer down. And there we have it. It's perfect. And we'll notice it's on this layer, and it's on the next layer, and it's not on the next layer. So again, it's only 2 layers. Fantastic, and the bottom should still be happy. Good. Cool. So basically, that's how I made my coin. So yeah, those are some of my best tips when it comes to 3D printing and using the slicer to do your bidding. Also, I wanted to point out, I learned a really interesting thing working on this, and it's the fact that just because you don't think it's possible doesn't mean you're right. So much so that I really wanted to at least get a proof of concept of that coin, and when I first tried, I thought this was as small as I could possibly make that design, and turns out, you can make them way smaller. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If I helped you with any tips or anything sounded cool, leave a comment down below. As always, you guys are absolute legends. We'll catch you next time.